This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Outlook from November 2017 through February 2018. We'll be looking at recent weather conditions, including drought, current state of the fuels, as well as any developing El Nino or La Nina conditions. We'll then look at expected weather conditions for the next 4 months, and that'll combine with our fire outlook from November through February. Recent weather trends for the month of October: cooler than normal across most of the Great Basin on the left-hand side, especially across northwestern Utah and parts of northwestern Nevada, where they were as much as 4 to 6 degrees cooler than normal. The bigger story is the dryness and the departure from normal precipitation. Areas in the dark red that we see through here are basically less than 25% of normal precipitations, and below normal just about everywhere across the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin, just near normal across the mountains of central Idaho, a few pockets of above normal. Now, since September 1st, we see that long-term trend continuing of drier than normal conditions across the southern half of the Great Basin, wetter further to the north. And that leads into the drought monitor. No large-scale drought areas, a few small pockets here across Utah, central Utah. Moderate drought conditions, but they're localized, very small. Otherwise, either no drought conditions or just abnormally dry over the short term. Now, the drought outlook for the month of November is calling for just a continuation of those small pockets of drought, otherwise no significant changes. Now, in our fuels, our 100-hour fuels through the end of October, they are fairly dry, especially across most of the southern half of the area. This orange shade indicates 100-hour fuels anywhere from 6 to 10%. A bit more critical if we look at the 10-hour fuels. This affects our finer fuel beds across Nevada and Utah and possibly parts of southern or southwestern Idaho, especially with these areas in the pink. 10-hour fuels 5 to 6%, so any prolonged drying or any even short-term drying with windy conditions in fine fuels could still cause some fire activity concerns. Now, our ERCs in the southern areas still are quite dry from that prolonged period of dry conditions. You can see here across parts of southeastern Nevada, record level ERCs, as well as over southeast Utah and down into the Arizona Strip. This dry period has record ERC levels. Of course, if you compare to what it would be a normal condition for the end of July, early August in a lot of these areas. So still quite dry across southern portions of our area. Now, in terms of El Nino or La Nina, we have been noticing a pooling of cold water across the equatorial Pacific. This is an indication of a weak La Nina forming. And the computer models, you can see the cluster of models, take most of it down into this yellow line here, which is the average of all the models. This is basically a weak La Nina at this point, and this could change as we go into the next couple of months. We look at all this, drought, weather conditions, live fuels, dead fuels. We look at the weather now, and the short-term signal for November is for significantly wetter than normal conditions across a good chunk, if not all, of the Great Basin, and also cooler than normal temperatures across northern areas. So despite the dryness we've had the last 2 months, we should recoup a lot of that in the upcoming days. But that doesn't mean that the leading edge of the next storm system in early November could bring some short-term fire concerns, especially downslope winds off the Sierra front. Now, the winter outlook from December through February with this La Nina, focusing for above normal precipitation chances across our northern areas, skirting down into northern Utah, drier to the south. Temperature-wise, we are looking for warmer than normal temperatures across our southern areas, near normal further to the north across the mountains of central Idaho. So we put all these pieces together, and basically, given that signal, we expect normal off-season conditions for all areas, so no significant fire concerns over the next 4 months. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.